When Halloween starts creeping up, I'm all about watching some campy, schlocky horror movies, especially if it's got a resident murderous baddie like Freddy or Jason, or if it's got a supernatural being involved. I love those too, ones like Slenderman or The Rake. Well, I never heard of the Wendigo until I played Until Dawn. These mythical creatures come from indigenous folklore and roam the forests in Midwestern Canada and the Northwestern United States. Finally, a game set in Canada, eh? Let's go! But back to the Wendigo. These creatures are cursed and angry spirits with a craving for human flesh. Not a good thing if you're headed up to your friend's secluded cottage in the middle of that same woods that these cursed creatures roam. Combine this with a murder mystery and a crazed killer on the loose, and we got ourselves an 80s style horror flick. Except it's a game. That's what Supermassive Games aimed for with this title, Until Dawn. Your choices will affect whether your ensemble cast of characters will live or die, and it feels exactly like an 80s slasher flick. We also have the Platinum Trophy to collect on this fateful night, and knock another one off of the PlayStation Plus Collection Challenge list. I thought it'd be the perfect way to slip into a Halloween mood. You wouldn't want to let Hayden Panettiere and Rami Malek get brutally murdered, would you? You wouldn't want to let Mr. Robot die, right? His character's name is Josh, so if you let him die, you'll let me down. Let's jump into this interactive dramas trophy guide to see if we can survive Until Dawn. This is Platinum Hunters, the show where we take a look at everything it takes to get the Platinum Trophy and whether it's worth the effort to achieve it. Now, I've got a master plan for this show, and I talked about Until Dawn in the last video, which is the Life is Strange True Colors Trophy Guide, which also had a rousing discussion of the narrative games genre and their Platinum Trophies, in which I said Until Dawn was one of the best. So check out that video if you have time, and as well, subscribe to the channel for more trophy guide videos just like this one. You might just find your next Platinum Trophy. Now I want to put this out there so it's as clear as humanly possible. For this episode, I can't do it without spoiling this game. I can't cover how to get most of these trophies without uncovering some major plot points. So if you want to play this game first, then do so, and then come back to this guide. I don't blame you. That's how I played it, and I just went in blind to see how I would fare. So after your initial unspoiled playthrough, we can now work on saving everybody for one playthrough and then get everyone killed for another run. That is essentially the roadmap for this trophy guide. Certain parts of the story will require you to make certain choices, or make sure you do all the quick time events properly, and this determines whether one of our characters defies death or succumbs to it. I'm going to tell you exactly what you have to do and when, so that's why this whole trophy guide is filled with spoilers. Along the way, there are also lots of collectibles to grab, and you'll need to factor in finding them into one-year playthroughs. Okay, we are all prepped and ready to head to the cabin in the woods, so the last thing to let you know before we start is that there are more helpful guides in the description below if you need more assistance. We are going to save everybody first for this trophy guide, as it will make getting the trophy for getting everyone killed much easier later on, as you won't have to play a whole other second playthrough, just about half of it. On your save everyone playthrough, you will get a ton of trophies all at once, including the prized They All Live trophy when everybody lives to see the light of dawn. There are also 2 separate trophies for saving all of the male survivors and the female survivors. The Quicker Man is awarded when you make sure you save Mike, Chris, Matt, and Josh. Remember to save Josh, Rami Malek, or I'll be disappointed in you. The worst kind of disappointment. And then you will get the 4 Daughters of Darkness trophy when you save Sam, Emily, Ashley, and Jessica. Jessica oddly enough has her own trophies for surviving the night, which will pop 2 after this playthrough. It's called Don't Scare Jessica to Death. To be fair, she totally deserves her own trophy because holy shit does she go through hell and back over the course of this playthrough. We will get all of these trophies by the end of the run and then some other ones too. But it's also best to start looking for all the 4 different collectible types for 4 separate trophies. These start popping up from the prologue and first chapter, and there are many of them. Some of these collectibles also can only be obtained as a result of a few of the choices you make during your playthrough, and I'm going to include those moments on the run where everyone must live. Still use the guide down below in the description, but I thought it would be helpful to prevent you from doing extra runs at the chapters. The coolest collectibles in my opinion are the totems, and you need them all for the Night of the Totem Hunter trophy. These totems give you hints in the form of premonitions, and will tell you how some of your ensemble characters will brutally die or how they can avoid a grisly death. Some of these premonitions will also give you hints on how to collect other collectible types. You can use these drops of info to help you significantly in your first unspoiled playthrough. I think this is an incredible way to implement collectibles, and Supermassive did a great job here. Collect all 30 of these totems, 6 in each category to get this trophy. Another cool collectible that builds up the lore of the game's setting is the clues from 1952 for the trophy, The Fateful Descent. There is a lot more going on with this game's setting, especially with the sanatorium nearby. Oh, I think I forgot to mention that. This vacation home is located close to a sanatorium, and there's also a mysterious abandoned mine too. What doesn't this backwoods place have? This is not my idea of a vacation, but collect all 27 of these lore collectibles for this trophy. The last 2 collectible trophies involve more clues. There's the trophy You Open Their Eyes, and it's for collecting all 30 clues that will hint at who the masked stalker psychopath is. This guy with the creepy mask. Now there are actually 32 clues if you have the pre-order DLC installed, but those last 2 clues don't count towards the trophy. Last collectible trophy is called The Tale of Two Sisters, which also gives you more hints into the disappearance of Josh's twin sisters lost in the woods a calendar year before this fateful night. It's the catalyst for this whole story and mystery. There are 20 of these that help uncover what really happened that night to the twin sisters. You'll also find out what happens to them closer to the end of the night. So without further ado, let's save everyone. This next section will uncover how to keep everyone alive to the end, those collectible moments I mentioned earlier, and as well a bunch of trophies you can get in this playthrough. Last chance here for major spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you. Right in chapter 1, you'll be getting some target practice as Chris. Bro, don't shoot the squirrel. Come on, man. Not only will you get a collectible later, but you'll also prevent yourself from being an asshole. Don't shoot the squirrel. Then we'll jump right to chapter 4, where you will have your first potential death situation. When you are running after a kidnapped Jessica through the woods as Mike, you will need to make sure you hit all of the QuickTime events or QTEs and take the faster paths, which are often more dangerous to traverse. This is the only way to make sure Jessica stays alive at the end of the night. She will disappear for most of the story, but she will be alive when you get back to her later. So as long as you nail those QTEs, you'll be good. Now we get into chapter 5, and this next part is kinda gnarly. It's for the trophy Scream 2, and you can get this trophy as Mike in the sanatorium. There's this weird hand thing waving at you, and you will have to go investigate it in order to get this missable trophy. But when you do, wham! Your fingers get caught in a bear trap, and now you have to cut them off for the trophy. Choose the amputate option and watch the... Excuse me, I think I need to hurl. Just a bit later, you'll be confronted by a wolf, and make sure you don't hit it because this wolf is going to be your best friend in this ordeal. This meeting will be the first part that will help you get the trophy, the Skillful Wolfman, where you'll meet the wolf again later in chapter 9. But for this moment, head over to the chest in the middle of the room and grab one of these bones to give to the wolf. Now, you are part of his pact. The last thing you need to worry about in Chapter 5 is getting away from the Maniac as Sam. In order to grab some collectibles as Sam later on, you gotta avoid capture. So first thing you'll need to do is throw the vase at the Maniac and get yourself the trophy, the Psychopath. This trophy is unlocked anytime you can attack the Maniac. There are 3 different opportunities to do this, but throwing the vase is the easiest, quickest way to get this trophy. Then once you run down the hallway and you're given the choice to run or hide, keep running till you reach the door with no handle. Then choose to knock down the wine bottle shelf and attach the handle that was on top of it to the door. Once you are in the other room, keep walking down the hallway till your next choice is to run or hide. And here you'll have to hide and don't move. Now you have successfully escaped the Maniac and can get those collectibles later in Chapter 7. Headlining Chapter 6, Matt could potentially die here if you attack the deer, so just don't. You will live, or at least until you get to the part where the radio tower collapses. But before that scene, make sure you find the flare gun at the radio tower, and very importantly, make sure Emily keeps it. This is important for a trophy you'll get later called Let M In. It's needed for the trophy and to keep you alive later on so you can get the rest of the scenes for this trophy. Shortly after that, the radio tower will collapse, and when Emily is hanging on for dear life, instead of choosing to save her, pick the option to jump to safety. I know it seems counterintuitive, but neither character will die in this situation. Trust me. At the end of the chapter, when Ashley and Chris are captured and chained to the saw-like death trap, you need to make sure Ashley will save Chris later in the story. You accomplish this by choosing to shoot yourself with the blank-filled gun. Don't shoot Ashley here, or you will seal Chris's fate for later on. And that's it for Chapter 6. There is only one thing you have to worry about in Chapter 7. When you find Emily very much alive, you will play as her through a long segment in the mines. Towards the tail end of this part, you'll be chased by the guy with the flamethrower, and when you are given the opportunity to hide, do it. This will be for a collectible later on that otherwise you can't normally get. Now Chapter 8 is where people can drop like flies, starting with Emily. During this Wendigo chase section, you will need to hit all of the QTEs, and don't mess up any of the don't move prompts as well. She will get bit by the Wendigo, but that's okay. If you made it to that point, she will make it to the lodge and out of harm's way. Then, it's Chris's turn to run from the Wendigo. On his way back to the lodge after the flamethrower guy gets killed, Chris will need to defend himself as he gets attacked. Make sure you shoot the Wendigo every time he jumps at you. Don't shoot what's around the Wendigo, just blast the thing itself. When you get to the lodge door, because you chose to shoot yourself with the gun earlier in Chapter 6, Ashley will open the door for you gladly, and Chris will be saved. Then, the last moment you have to worry about for this chapter is when Scooby and the gang discover the bite on Emily's shoulder, and they think Emily is going to turn into a Wendigo like how a zombie bite works. Mike will pull his gun on her, and obviously don't shoot her if you want her to live. Just let the timer run out. This is also the last part of the Let M In trophy we mentioned earlier. Just don't shoot her as much as you might want to, and the trophy will pop. Now we are in Chapter 9 and almost made it till dawn. First off, let's finish off the last part for the Skillful Wolfman trophy. Because we were friendly to the wolf back in Chapter 5, it returns here to guide you through the sanatorium. When you are being chased by the Wendigo, make sure you always choose to barricade the doors when the option arises. After you do this the second time and part ways with the wolf, you will get the trophy. Very important part here. When you're traveling through the sewers as Ashley, you need to investigate that noise when you're given the option. But do not open that shaking trapdoor. The reason we are going through this part at all is that there is a collectible found here. Not because we want to go investigating trapdoors. That shit will get you killed. Grab the collectible and keep moving onward. Alright, the grand finale. Chapter 10 is where everyone can die, so listen carefully. We will save Josh in a weird, unorthodox way. While playing as Sam and Mike down in the mines, you will reach a part where you have to travel through some water. Mike will walk to the right towards the intended path, but instead you will need to go to the left path and pick up this collectible here. Yeah, this one collectible determines whether Josh will live or die. That's kinda a piss off, really, so make sure you pick it up before you progress further. Now we will meet with two faces we haven't seen in a long time, Matt and Jessica. Both of them can die here by the Wendigo, so at every opportunity you will need to choose the hide option and make sure you don't move. This will save both of them for the rest of the game, and you will get the Don't Scare Jessica to Death trophy, like I mentioned earlier. 3 of the cast is saved, and now it's time to save the rest. The fate of the rest of our group comes down to the final moments in the lodge. It's tense, and I'm gonna walk you through it. There is more than one Wendigo in the lodge now, and there are lots of moments where you need to hide or stand absolutely still and don't move. Mike came up with a way to kill the Wendigo, but you have to wait till everyone gets out of the lodge. So you will need to write out the situation until your friends slowly trickle out of the lodge one by one. First, Chris will leave. Then there's a moment where you will have to save Mike and get the Wendigo's attention. Then Emily will leave. Keep standing still and choosing the hide options when the choice presents itself. You don't want to blow up the lodge too early and accidentally kill one of your friends. Ashley will be the next one to bolt out the door. Hang on a little bit longer until Mike gets out of the door and then survive the last don't move section. Then Sam will run to the switch and blow up the lodge. You did it. You saved all 8 people and you will be awarded the trophy They All Live, as well as all those trophies I mentioned earlier. Now that everyone has survived the ordeal, we just have to go back and make sure no one survives until dawn. With your first full playthrough done and all the collectibles gathered, now you can just start from chapter 6 and play from there. You don't actually need to do a full other playthrough from the beginning if you did the platinum run in this way. You just have to make sure you fully play through the game from chapter 6 onwards. We are ready to finish up this platinum run and jump back into the haunted grounds. But before we do that, let me know you have survived this long by dropping a like on this video. Now, let's get our hands messy. The trophy we are aiming for is called This Is The End, for making sure no one makes it until dawn. There's also a bunch of other trophies to get here too, and we will cover them as their opportunity arises. It also starts in chapter 6 when the radio tower is crashing down. Let Matt try to save Emily, and he will fall into an area where he gets attacked by a Wendigo. Just mess up the QTEs and he will be brutally killed. Yikes. 1 down, 7 more to go. The other moment you have to worry about in chapter 6 is setting into motion Chris's death. Remember when we were in the Saw death trap and Chris did the valiant thing by shooting himself? Good times, eh? Now do the opposite. Choose to shoot Ashley instead. This also gets you the trophy Fatal Grudge when you choose to shoot her instead. This decision will come back to haunt Chris later in chapter 8 when he is running back to the lodge from the pursuing Wendigo. Ashley will remember this moment, and she decides not to open the door for Chris, which gets him killed by the Wendigo. You'll get the Ashley Snaps trophy when you play out this gruesome scene, and Chris is the second one to fall. Keep in mind, he needs to make it to the door, so don't die before that. Time to take out Emily. Remember when Mike has the gun to her head in chapter 8, and you chose not to do it? Well, do it this time. This will get you the trophy, The Exorcism of Emily, and finally shut her bitchy mouth. Holy, she was the only one I wanted to die during this whole damn story, and so badly. Also keep in mind that during the Wendigo chase scene before this, you need to make sure you do exactly as you did before so she gets bit, or else this scene in question will never play out. Good riddance, and that's 3 down. Next one to go is Ashley, and it's when you investigate the sound in the sewers for that collectible. You can now open the trapdoor and surprise! Guess what? It's a Wendigo! This will get you yet another trophy called You Let the Wrong One In when you open the trapdoor. Our 4th target is neutralized, and that's half the cast dead. The rest will fall inside of chapter 10 starting with Josh. Again, that collectible on the left path of the water is what decides his fate, so ignore it this time. Josh will have his head squeezed like an orange instead of being dragged away. Josh is unfortunately done for. You had to go and make me sad, didn't you? Then, later when you're playing as an injured and demoralized Jessica in the mine shafts, just screw up the QTEs and do nothing for the choices, and she will be silenced by a Wendigo. One cool thing with this part is that if Matt lives long enough to meet up with Jessica, you can get a nice double kill here. That Wendigo can take both Matt and Jessica out in this scene. Nice! Everyone loves a good double kill in their horror movies. So that's 6 people down, and all that's left is our 2 main characters who are meant to make it this far into the story. The plot armor is so thick on Sam and Mike, but it's time for them to fall. When you are in the final lodge showdown, just fail the don't move prompts as Sam, and one of the Wendigos will hear her and take her out. The last person left is Mike, and upon Sam's death, Mike will automatically make a sacrifice, pulling out his lighter and blowing up the lodge with him in it. Such a noble sacrifice, taking out the Wendigo left in the lodge, so that no one else has to deal with them up on this mountain. None of them survived until dawn, and you will have your trophy, this is the end, by the time the credits roll. But you're not done. Oh no. Just when you think you are out, this desecrated mountain pulls you back in, just for one more trophy. Then you can have your platinum. The trophy is called Instant Inferno, and it requires you to play the last chapter again and blow up the lodge as soon as the opportunity presents itself. As Sam, as soon as the option to flick the switch comes up, immediately pick it. This trophy can't be obtained during either of our 2 runs because the action will simultaneously save Sam and doom the other people inside the house like Mike. It's essentially the save yourself and throw your friends under the bus option, but it will get you this trophy. And with that last trophy now acquired, you've simultaneously survived until dawn and never saw the dawn again. If you have gotten those 2 trophies, solved the mystery of what happened to Beth and Hannah, ran away from a ton of horrific Wendigo, and found every collectible, congratulations! You will be awarded the A Symphony of Horror Trophies Platinum Trophy for Until Dawn. Overall, Until Dawn has one of the best platinum trophies in the narrative games genre. The game's platinum run is super creative and complements the game nicely. It's not a hard platinum trophy to get provided you know what to do, but it's certainly worth getting if you're looking for more horror experiences. If you want to challenge yourself, you can try to do it without this guide, but this episode of Platinum Hunters was specifically made to help you. And check another game off the PlayStation Plus Collection Challenge. I can totally see why this game was selected as one of the 20. It's a fantastic experience. When the PS4 had a drought of exclusive titles, this game released and held up the torch for the PS4. This game and Bloodborne were those quality exclusives that the PS4 needed in 2015. And more than half a decade later, it's still a campy and thrilling platinum to have in your collection. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're trying to get in the Halloween mood, into the spooky territory. So we're going to be playing a lot of stuff that would fit the mood as horror games or supernatural games. This is one of them. There's more to come. You guys got to subscribe to the channel for more of those videos. And let me know you enjoyed this by leaving a like or a comment down below. I hope you guys have a great spooky day. And I hope all your trophy hunting expeditions go wrong, because a lot of bad things happen during Halloween. Peace out.